Raise your hand, and I can call on you. Okay. We'll do it one by one. What does that mean? Henry?
I have two questions, one for Morton and one for Gil. Morton mentioned the need for electricity in the facilities. The problem of attacking the nuclear reactor are two: getting there and getting the target. Why can't they get the facilities that produce electricity rather than the facilities that produce the nuclear fission?
So Henry wants to know if we can send LIPA to...
Well, if you send LIPA to solve the problem,
yeah. And make sure that for weeks they will not have electricity.
Well, you're talking about damaging, you're talking about attacking a commercial power source.
any power that is used in the facility.
Line, I would accept, destroying the line. But destroying a commercial civilian facility is a no-no.
Either way, wouldn't it be easier to destroy the line, the cables, gigantic cables?
Right, but then you could restore, to repair a cable, it's a question of months. It's not destroying the capability. Destroying
6 months.
Yeah, well, it depends on the scale. But destroying a capability is what will be for, not infrastructure which feeds the facility. But yeah, and again, can you imagine you have an operating facility producing electricity for the entire neighborhood, a couple of cities, and you drop there are a lot of civilians working there. It's not something you could do casually. I mean, the repercussions will be huge.
The question for you is, besides the attack, what do you know about the Arafat poisoning? Anything new?
I didn't do it.
I didn't accuse you. I wanted to.
So, by the
bird they sent to Gaza.
but by the way, keep on eating and taking more pizza and everything. I'm Jewish. I like to watch other Jews eat. Look, the people who were around back then in positions of power, they are all out of power now, and they have all said, we didn't do it. And that had it been done, they would have known about it. And the only one who can't testify to that is Sharon. But all the people that work with Sharon, all of them, they have no interest in keeping it a secret, or they have nothing stopping them anymore from talking. And they all said we didn't do it.
Is it assumed that it was done, or is there still a question whether it was really done?
I'm not, an expert on polonium or poison, which is different than plutonium, and so they have their Swiss doctors. But I don't know if you take a body out of the grave 5 years later, it's just disgusting, the whole thing.
Other question?
People should say their name before they ask a question.
Rivka, go ahead.
I read that Qatar and Turkey are very unhappy with the United States because of the easing on the sanctions, and they are now leaning toward being friendly more to the Russians. What do you know about that?
Look, a lot of countries in the Middle East are very upset with America right now. The Saudis are very upset, the United Arab Emirates is very upset, Bahrain is very upset. Turkey and America get along very well right now. They also would want certain things to be done, but they're very close with Obama. Qatar, absolutely. All that pressure is going to be coming over the next 10 days, and they can try to use a bipolar superpower strategy, which the Russians have been emphasizing. Russia's tried to build itself up as a second superpower, and they're not. But a lot of what they've decided over the last few years has been to portray themselves as another superpower. That's why they're so involved in Iran and in Syria as an alternative to the United States. And what happens 2 days after the talks begin in Geneva, and they might still be going on in Geneva again, Netanyahu is going to be in Moscow to meet with Putin.
I'm going to use a little bit rabbinic discretion here. So I was wondering if you could comment on how Saudi Arabia's refusal to be on the Security Council is being perceived in Israel.
Look, we in Israel appreciate that the Saudis sometimes speak for us. Sometimes we want them to speak more than they have. And their refusal to take a seat on the Security Council that America wanted them to take, because they were so upset that America didn't take action against Syria, didn't take action against Iran, didn't supply them with information that they had promised to supply the Saudis with regarding how they would attack Syria and Iran. We understood it in Israel and really appreciated it. Now, but then again, we were worried of who would take the Security Council seat instead. And now it's looking like Jordan is going to take it, and so that's fine.
Larry?
Just curious, why are the Israelis releasing these prisoners only for talks, or there's more to it than we can know?
So it's a horrible decision to release. Now we've released 52 murderers from prison, another 52 on the way, another 26 already in next month. And this was all the demand of the Palestinians. When Kerry spoke to them and asked them what they want most, they said two things. They said settlements, which he said, stop fighting for, and releasing the prisoners from before the period of Oslo, meaning that they've been in jail since before 1993. The only prisoners who are still in jail that weren't released in previous prisoner exchanges are the ones with blood on their hands. And so you're dealing with people who've killed at least 2 people. And some of the people that were released, just a week and a half ago, just reading what they've done, it's absolutely disgusting. Here we are on the anniversary of Kristallnacht. There's a gentleman named Arik Rottenberg. Arik Rottenberg was a Holocaust survivor. He escaped from Sobibor, made his way to Palestine, fought in the War of Independence and other wars for Israel, built up a business as a carpenter, had children and grandchildren, retired, but couldn't get by on his pension. Took some work here and there, and at a construction site, 2 of his Arab workers clubbed him to death with the tools that he gave them. These are the kind of people that Israel just released on the streets, and the people that were released 2 months before did get involved in acts of terror. In September, you had a huge rise in acts of terror in Judea and Samaria. And so this is a tremendous risk that Israel is taking. Now the answer is why? Because the whole goal that Israel has in these talks is to not be blamed for their failure. Now, in the past, when Israel had to agree to freeze construction in Judea and Samaria, forget about the ramifications of Israeli families, people who spent half of their salary on a mortgage that then can't build, and you're inside a community that everyone believes will be part of Israel forever. Forget about all the moral aspects. The fact is that it's very hard to police and prove that you're not building when Israel makes such a commitment. If our commitment is to release murderers from prison, we either release them or we didn't. It's very easy to know. And because of that, we can't be blamed. We did our part. That's why Israel is doing it, to not be blamed by the United States.
Harry?
Did you indicate that you think there's an intifada coming soon?
No. Palestinians, the 58% of Palestinian people told a pollster that they think it's coming when the talks break down. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. You know, they don't, I mean, I know an intifada is a popular uprising, but the fact is the other intifadas were encouraged by their leaders. And this time there's no indication that that's going to happen. If anything, the indication is that they would try again some kind of international law, you know, a lawfare, they call it. And not an intifada, because they don't think that really gets them anywhere.
And just as a follow-up question,
Sure.
so the next problem will be rockets from Lebanon or rockets from Gaza, which will draw an Israeli response?
Neither one. I mean, the rockets from Lebanon, theoretically their purpose is to be used in retaliation if someone attacks Iran, and since that's become a lot less likely, that's not going to happen, and with Lebanon having Hezbollah part of the government. And Gaza also, Hamas is being hit so hard by Egypt, they have an interest in stopping rockets being fired at Israel, and when there have been rockets lately, they've been fired not by Hamas. So neither one of those are really about to happen.
But just one more
Please.
follow-up. Let me make this personal. In the summertime,
Yeah.
when the girls were in Israel, they stopped them from going to Eilat because they claimed that there were rockets that were already trained from Gaza that were going to go right into the Eilat area, and they stopped the girls from going and they sent them back north.
So what was going on with Eilat, that's not Hamas. That's Al-Qaeda. I don't know if that makes it any better. But, you know, the tunnels go both ways, right? And so you had rockets smuggled from Gaza into Egypt, and then the Bedouin chaos there in the Sinai. What month were the girls there?
July.
What happened in July? The Egyptians they got overthrown. Now there's more order. You can go to Eilat.
I just wanted to say that your comment that they're letting these prisoners out because they don't want to be perceived as being the reason for the failure of the talks. Israel is the villain no matter what they do, so I don't understand that kind of logic. No matter what they do, they're always going to be the one in the wrong.
I'm
So
telling
how
you
is
the
that
logic
wrong?
of the Israeli government. You can choose to decide it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you can all decide for yourself. I'm just a reporter.
I've heard numerous times at learning situations that there is synchronicity between the Parsha and events is no accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fact that this week we read about Laban and his machinations and his fake promises, and also coincidentally Obama apologized for being sorry about misleading people about the insurance, etc., etc. So my question is, given all this...
He's not Laban, though.
Pardon?
Anyway, that's it. Go on.
So my question is, given everything that's going on in terms of duplicity and untruths and spin, are the Israelis still ready to believe American assurances?
The Israeli people or the Israeli government, Joel?
Well, the government represents the people.
Does Netanyahu trust Obama? The answer is no. Do the Israeli people trust Obama? 2/3 of Israelis, according to a poll that I wrote about from the Israel Democracy Institute, say that they do not believe that Obama will keep his promise to prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear country. So that answers your question on both of them. And as for the Parsha, look, Rashi says that we see Laban as if he had killed Yaakov, and we read about it in the Haggadah, because it says when it comes to Gentiles, God reckons their intentions as if they carried them out. And that's why we read about Laban actually killing Yaakov. And so we take that very seriously. Bechol Dov Hador, here we are, it's the anniversary of Kristallnacht, and they meant it. And I wish the world would have realized that back then. And the message again now is that the world means it. And is that Iran means it, and the world needs to see these warnings. And not pretend they're not there.
Jack?
from an Israeli security point of view, do they view the military government in Egypt now as a done deal for the distant future, or do they still see the Muslim Brotherhood as a realistic threat of resurgence in Egypt?
The answer to your question is that for 20-something years, Israel had no plans whatsoever to handle an attack from Egypt. There was no strategic plan, even in a drawer. And then immediately Israel got ready. And have those plans been shelved because the Muslim Brotherhood is not in power anymore? No, you know where they're ready. But strategically, with what's going on in Egypt right now, is there a fear that this government is about to fall? The answer is no. General Sisi is very popular among the people. He recently was paraded in the streets and proclaimed a hero on a parade in honor of the 40th anniversary of the Egyptian victory in the Yom Kippur War. And he's outlawed the Muslim Brotherhood. He's hitting them hard, despite America telling him not to. So he's taking the necessary precautions in order to be permitted to stay in power. The only annoying thing is that you have to change the Constitution, because you can't be the Chief of Staff of the Army and the President at the same time. You can be interim President. And so in order to run in an election, he has to quit, except if you change the Constitution and take out that little rule. And in order to change the Constitution, you have to have the Parliament vote, and the Parliament...